So, who doesn't love a good horror story? I think all of us do. So, today I decided why shouldn't I make some horror stories and tell it to you guys? A watcher. I am a skeptic, so I really don't believe in ghosts. But one incident made me get so terrified that I started to believe in ghosts. Ghosts are something that are not terrifying but violent. One day I decided to, just leave my house for once since I've been staying there for too long. I came out of my house and I decided to go meet up with some friends. I reached to a proper destination and my friends stayed a bit far, so I decided why shouldn't I park my car and go to the parking lot. While I was walking, I felt a strange sensation. I felt like someone was watching me. I looked behind to see who it was, but there was no one. I brushed it off thinking it was my imagination, but I was wrong. There was something that was actually watching me. I threw it off as my imagination. This happens to everyone, right? I meet up with my friends. I told them what happened, but they just laughed it off. They thought that I was joking, but in reality, I wasn't. Well, we laughed it off, but one of my other friends asked me, "Do you still getting that same feeling?" I look at him and I say, "Yes, I am." He tells me that before all of us moved into this building, this used to be a house for old people. You can call it an old age home. It used to be an old age home for old people. But one day, something happened. There was a huge shooting and no one survived. Not the caretakers or anybody. The sensation that you're feeling of being watched is actually one of the old people who are set to haunt this place. When actually the ghost of one old man. I ignored it. I told my friends bye and I left, knowing that this was not going to be a good day. While walking, I again felt the same sensation of being watched. So I turn around, but instead of seeing nothing, I see a man. He's not like any of your ordinary man. He looked old, and his clothes were pretty shaggy as well. He was wearing really bad clothes, like they were torn and looked like they weren't washed in weeks. The man did nothing but just stood there and stared at me. A few minutes later, he gave me a very creepy grin. I was horrified. I turned back, I ran, not even looking behind for once, and went home. After that incident, I searched up the old age home to find out that some psychopathic guy who had no work just went and shot everyone there, not knowing that they would come back. After that incident, I started believing in ghosts and I soon moved out of the house because I knew that I couldn't handle something like this. Ever since that incident, the sensation of being watched never stopped. No matter if I'm alone or if I'm around anyone, I always get that same feeling. I kept seeing the old man in my dreams, but soon it stopped, and I'm glad it did. If I hadn't moved out of the house and stayed there, I don't know what would have happened. Wanted pizza delivery. I was a college student and I used to work in a pizza shop. One day it was my night shift and I got a call. I picked up the phone. I said hello, but there was no answer. I cut the phone and I ignored it. I heard it again. I picked it up. I said hello, but there was no answer again. I cut it and then I heard it the third time. Again picked it up, said hello, and I heard a faint voice ordering some pizza. That said, I need some pepperoni pizza. And that's it. I asked the person the address for where they wanted to get the pizza. She gave me the address and I told my boss that I'm going to take off. I sat in my car and left. I reached the place, but normally, even during the nighttime, cities are quiet, noisy. But it was pretty quiet over there. I looked at my map and I looked at the house and found out that it was the same house. So I get out of my car and I walk in the front door and ring the bell saying, "Your pizza's here." I hear nothing. I ring it again, telling him the person that the pizza's here, but there was no answer. I rang the bell again and still no one answered. I heard knocking from one of the windows. I looked to the left where I heard the knocking sound from. To my surprise, I didn't see anything terrifying, but I saw a lady. I looked at the lady, I gave her a gesture that her pizza is here, but she just stood there staring at me. Then she gave a creepy grin and I called my boss, told him that I cannot go on with this order, sir. This is too scary. Because of that, I went back, I sat down in my car and decided to leave. When I sat in my car, I turned around to see the woman following me. And I turned on the brake and I turned on the accelerator and left. I drove as fast as I could, not looking back until I reached the city. After reaching the city, I, in the end, quit my job. I could not go on with customers that would order so late, but be creepy. So I decided to work in a grocery store instead, knowing that nothing like this would ever happen again. Haunted house incident. Recently, one of my friends found out that I wanted to be a YouTuber real bad. So one day we found out in the news that there's this one house which is haunted and no one's allowed to go there because people are scared they might get possessed. My friend looks at me and tells me, "Let's go there." I said no. I shook my head, telling him that it was a bad idea going there. But he insisted. He told me, "Your dream is to become a YouTuber, right? Well, if you do that, then you'll get tons of views. You'll get lots of subscribers. Isn't that something that you'll be proud of?" He nodded my head, and finally I agreed. But I knew that this was going to be one of my biggest mistakes. I went to sleep that day, and around 2 a.m. I heard my doorbell ring. I got up, I went to see who it was, and I opened the door to see my friend standing there. He came in and he said, "I hope you didn't forget about what we're about to do today." I nodded my head. I told him, of course not. But I did tell him that this was going to be a dangerous decision. He just knocked it off, laughed it off, didn't even listen to me. And just as soon as it hit 3 in the morning, we left. After we left, we reached the destination and it looked pretty scary and creepy. My friend pulled out his camera and started recording. He said, "Hey guys, so today we are going to explore this haunted house. Oh, so scary." And we went inside. Once we went inside, we explored the house and I encountered something in the corner of my eye. It looked like a person, an apparition. I ignored it, thinking it was my imagination, and just continued exploring. My friend removed his spirit box and turned it on. God, the noise was so loud. After that, he asked the ghost some questions, and we heard those. And while we were about to leave, again, I felt something in the corner of my eye. I decided not to look back, but then I had the camera with me. My friend snatched the camera from me and told them, the people, "Look, I'm about to make eye contact with this thing who's going to possess me or murder me." And, well, he took the camera and made eye contact with him. After that, he told me that, "Okay, this is getting weird. I think it's time for us to run." I look at him and I tell him, "You made a grave mistake. Now it's too late for us to run. We can't do anything." The ghost soon to us, but we ran, and now we started to run. We ran as fast as we could, not looking back, and we got out of the house. It was a very scary event that happened, and I can't stop thinking about it. Next day, I decided to go meet my friend, and I went to his house and I rang the bell, but it was his mom that answered. I asked her where my friend was, and she just said, "Oh, if you're asking for David, he passed away last night." And I asked her how. She tells me, "After you guys came back and finished filming your video, he went to the kitchen, grabbed a knife, and stabbed himself." I was shocked. My eyes were widened after I found out what had happened. I went back and sat in my room thinking that how is that place actually haunted? I did some research and I found out that in that house used to live 3 people. A mom, a dad, actually 5. A mom, a dad, and her 3 children. One day, the mom and dad got into a huge fight, and which made the father infuriated. He went to the kitchen, grabbed himself a knife, and killed all his family members. No one survived, and that was the end of it. People that have gone there have told to not make eye contact, because if they do, they'll get possessed and, well, have the same fate as David. During his funeral, I was crying a lot, but I knew that if we hadn't ran as fast as we could, this wouldn't have happened. I'm glad that I'm the only survivor, the only person that survived this attack, and I am glad that I'm alive to this day, but not my friends. I wonder what would have happened if he stayed in that building and never left. Oh, that is it. That is the end of the horror stories that I decided to tell you guys. If you guys want more content like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And also turn on the bell icon so that you can get more notifications, stories like this.